I want to thank everyone for coming in tonight. Tonight we have Liam Kennedy who's presenting, so we're thrilled to have him. I want to thank our sponsors, which is Pro Photo Daily, Photo Shelter, Epson, and American Photography. So without further ado, I give you Liam Kennedy. Thanks. Let's start at the beginning, right? How long were you in Ukraine? When was the last time? What's the plan? That kind of thing.
Got it. So I went to Ukraine at the end of March 2022.
Right.
I am a former Navy photographer, formerly stationed with combat camera, which, I had my skills in survival and I had my skills in working in high intense pressure situations. And one of my friends was going over to fight with a volunteer unit, so I felt that partly felt responsible to him, but also, I felt some sort of calling to photograph the situation, and I felt compelled in a way to photograph in a way that was beyond just the death and destruction and trying to photograph the human experience of it all.
Yeah.
Um, I flew over to Poland, took a train into Kiev, met up with a Foreign Legion battalion guys, and from there, I worked with them until the situation became untenable with them, and I then reached out to other resources and just tried to figure out where I could go. So,
Great. Yeah.
um,
Now, I do see a little bit of your information on the right side.
yes, let me remove that. There we go.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Great.
So this is
And
one of
what was
those
it?
the outdoor market that had gotten hit
Right.
in the beginnings of the war, and on the left over here was so a lot of my work has revolved around motorcycles throughout America and bikers. So
Okay.
when we stumbled across this what used to be a motorcycle shop, you could tell by the
Wow.
aluminum and the cylinders and the heads and some of the frames of the bikes. These guys used to come here all the time to this
Really?
motorcycle shop over here, and they were coming to see what was left of it.
Wow.
This was in let's do this. So this is outside of Kharkiv. This is in one of the frontline positions. I was really lucky to be able to see some of these and to be able to have their doors open, especially in situations like this. It was like in a basement of a former apartment complex.
Right. And what year is this, Liam?
It's 22. This photo is specifically was on April 25th, 2022. So I got there the day that all the findings at Bucha had been uncovered. The massacre of Bucha had been uncovered.
Right. And you're now traveling alone. You with a fixer.
I was with one fixer, but for the most part, I made connections to this faction of guys who represented a few different nationalities, and they would take me around. They had an ambulance, and I'd hop in with them, and we'd go to different cities where we needed to go. They were running support in and out of frontline positions for people. So they bring food supplies, ammunition. They were also evacuating some people as well. Then I got to work with Swampy, who's a pretty well-known character with Ukrainian EOD. We were out exploding some Russian ordnance that they had found, and he really has a unique. He's in a unique position to be able to have to diffuse a lot of ordnance that's been left over while also supporting current operations as well.
Right. That's an intense job, huh? My God.
Yeah, he's an intense guy as
I
well.
bet.
He got famous or not famous, but he got well known for doing it in Southeast Asia as well. And then when the situation kicked off in Ukraine before 22, he was there helping with EOD as well. we were out with a politician going around outside of Kharkiv and some other areas, and we were also with some foreign journalists as well. So, as you know, if you've been on the ground and with these journalists, you know that you have to carry lots of gasoline because so many of the stations are either inoperable or haven't gotten product or have been destroyed.
Right.
It's in the Donbass region. I didn't, you know, my I sat in the back of a van a lot. I didn't know
Mm.
where we were at most of the time, which I think helped because also like from an OPSEC standpoint. So we went to this frontline position and then, you know, we were in and out of certain areas and able to glean what was happening in those towns.
And Liam, are you commissioned by, a newspaper or magazine, or you're doing this all on your own and then sending images back? What's that story?
I was backed by Redux Images.
Read, okay, Marcel.
Yeah, I was backed by Marcel Saba at Redux. And from there, my images were syndicated on CNN, Radio Free Europe. And then I did a photo essay for Mother Jones.
Okay, cool. Cool, cool, cool. So in a situation like that, Marcel or Redux is saying, go, just send, we'll take care of you for a month or, whatever it may
Well,
be.
so how it worked, it was still all on my own.
Okay.
But they assisted me in getting a press pass. Marcel had me pitch him a few different ideas. And when Marcel was satisfied, he said, okay. And they sent in my credentials.
And how long does that take, Liam?
It wasn't that long of a turnaround. It was actually funny because I woke up and I know they had sent them in, but I wasn't expecting the email. Just all of a sudden, this in bold Ukrainian headline in my inbox, and then I open it up and it's a photo of me on this Ukrainian press pass, and that was a very surreal moment. Like this is really happening.
Right. So what do they send in to get that pass?
I wasn't really privy to that. I know that they sent in like who I've worked for or my I know they sent in like my name, date of birth, like all
Right.
that. And how the credentialing works now is not how it works then, from what I understand. Um, there's a few different things from what I heard, so I don't really want to, speak on what the credentialing process is
Right.
now because I'm not aware of that.
Okay.
Yeah. So a lot of people will know this spot. There was a photo that Tyler Hicks shot here of the Russian soldier laying in the snow, dead and bleeding. Um, and when we went there, you could still smell where the body was. It was really intense. And as we're standing there, this is very close to a frontline position, and you know this as we were saying there, ammo trucks are just passing us, and it was very like
Mm.
surreal and patriotic and very intense when you feel all these munitions going off around you. A lot of the guys I were with kept photos of their wives or significant others inside of their helmets as well.
And how long were you with this group?
This is the last group I was with. I was with this group for about say about 2 weeks, give or take. This group about 2 weeks. And from here I left Ukraine. I'd been there for about 6 weeks and I had some responsibilities at home I needed to tend to, and I wish I had stayed longer. However, there are many amazing Ukrainian photojournalists and many amazing staff photographers over there really doing important work.
So when you're embedded with them, does it come a point where, I mean, this may be too strong a word, but do they rely on you for something?
Well, it's a team mentality. So
Yeah.
going into something like this, I understand it's going to be a give and take. So if I'm eating the food, I also need to be, in my heart of hearts, I believe I need to be contributing something other than photography as well. So if they need help moving something, help fixing something, I will still be there because, teamwork makes the dream work. So, um, but a lot of times I will step back and document as we're going through these these events that we need to work
Right.
through. For instance, a dead battery, or trying to change a tire, or trying to move a bunch of civilians out of a basement. You do what you can to help the team that you're photographing as well.
Yeah, that's got to build a pretty incredible bond, I would imagine. Once they see that you're all in, it the dynamic must be pretty intense.
Right. A little bit of trust goes a long way.
Yeah.
This lady was, from what I remember, verging on she was in her 90, she was in her mid 90s or so. So that means she had seen a lot of really important events in the Eastern Steppe. And, she had experienced the Holodomor. She was telling us she had experienced the Holodomor famine. She had experienced war, the Soviet Union, and now she's experiencing this all over again. And it really hit me in a way that was different. It was kind of a gut punch
Yeah.
because under this lady is now confined in her years where she should be resting, and her years where she should be enjoying the fruits of all labor and all she's built for herself. She's confined to a basement, and that was a really tough reality to experience.
And do you do follow up to see where these folks are nowadays? Whether it's the soldiers, families like this.
I've been connected to a few, yes. However, some are no longer with us as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that's gonna be sad.
And this photo is also reposted by President Zelensky as well.
Is that right? Wow. See the sadness in her eyes, my God.
Mhm. This was a family that had been evacuated from the same place as well.
Mm.
Mm. And this was in Kramatorsk.
And what do you're traveling with your own car or you and your fixer? How does that work for you?
Well, I didn't have a fixer, so when I was with a unit, I would travel with them as they traveled.
Okay.
So I had a lady I would rent. She had a few different properties in Kiev, and I'd rent those from her. And then beyond that, I'd find my way either with, they have like Bolt, which is super popular over there and easy to get around. So if I need like groceries, I'd take a Bolt down to the market. Um, but beyond that, I would hop in with them and do what I had to do to get where I needed to be.
It's interesting how you say, going to the market, getting food, getting vegetables. Within this war, it's like there's so much normalcy within the craziness of all of it, right? I mean, you have to go
Well,
eat, you have to go to the
well,
market.
Ukraine is an incredibly large country.
Yeah.
And so fighting, the most active fighting is still happening a pretty long way away from Kiev. However, missiles are indiscriminate, and they, will fire on Kiev and Lviv and all these other cities. However, I think there's a need for normalcy within a war in order to keep yourself level,
Mm.
to keep yourself grounded in some sort of way. Those family dinners become a little bit more special. Your time going out drinking or seeing a movie or whatever activity that helps you relax a little from the intensity that you're feeling every day.
And I mean, how do you check yourself as it relates to, all this tension and pressure and what you're seeing and witnessing and, like what do you do to just get yourself steady again?
Uh, I'd talk with friends that I'd made while I was there. I would go out to a bar and talk to people, whether we're in or, experiencing, or a journalist as well.
Right.
Um, I uh, I would work out in the morning, keep myself level, and I would try to read and work
Okay.
as well.
Right. Okay.
Yes. So those were some of my photos from Ukraine. Those are some of the work that I'm most proud of.
Great. 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 And what are the plans for you? I mean, are you going back? I mean, what I know you're now at Syracuse, right?
Yes. I think if I were to go back, I'd like to be with uh I'd like to have something more steady than when I went over there. And
mm,
when I go over to photograph, I think I'd like to find a specific topic to photograph that was a little bit closer to me rather than trying to cover the whole war because I feel like that's where, the power in photography lies is when it can be something that is not just an immediate wow factor, but it's something with longevity. It's something that matters, like Natalie Kesar's work over there, you know,
Svet
or
Jacqueline is,
Lindsay Adario's work,
yeah,
or Tyler Hicks's work. Like all these people were incredible, Felipe Dana and James Noctway, and like all these incredible photographers who are really telling the whole of the story rather than just a small fraction.
right.
And so I think coming back to Syracuse is important for me to fill in the gaps of my career that I felt that maybe I learned that I was not as good at that
Mm,
I can expand upon, getting some more of an idea of the geopolitical nature of it, getting more of an idea of how grants work, so you can sustain yourself while you're there, how telling a story in depth, how you can think about it in different ways and become
right.
more complex.
Yeah. That's it's like a learning lesson as you go along, right? I mean, this
Yes,
is great. This is, but now how do I survive, right? I mean,
right.
the boring practical side of all of that, right?
Mhm.
And making the connections to I have a great story. Who do you pitch that to, so
Right,
that they'll say, yeah, go for a month, and we'll pay your ticket,
right.
right? That that
Becoming
that
becoming a better practitioner is very important to me. And since I've been back from Ukraine. I've been able to work for a lot more agencies like New York Times and Bloomberg and Wall Street Journal and like all these other things, telling other stories, building relationships with people. So when the hopes that I do go back as well, that there could be
right.
some sort of relationship there. But
Yeah.
it's also, if you're not good at the small things, you're never going to be good at the big things. And I think while I was over there and I think I made good work, it can always be better. And I think I realized all the small things that I was not as good at. So
Mm.
trying to change those things and become a better practitioner of my craft.
Yeah, that's I mean, yeah, you're always learning, right? So I have to ask you, how is your friend?
My friend is alive and well.
Great.
He's currently getting his master's, and he wrote a book about his experience, which I hope will get picked up by an agent, will get picked up by an agent and published because the man is a modern day Hemingway. So
Oh, is that right?
that is right.
And so in his book, will there be images? Is that
I don't know if there will be images, but I mean, I will make his portrait for the book. However,
right?
other than that, I don't know if he's going to do images, but I think his work will speak for itself, and it's very vivid. So,
Right.
yeah.
Now, I'm just wondering if there's a collaboration that could happen for both
Well,
of you.
we've made zines in the past where he wrote about it. I can send you some stuff, but we made some zines and it's his work is he has a story called The Story of Joshua Campbell, which is based on a true story of one of his friends who did not make it through the war. Uh,
Mm,
but the story is so incredibly powerful, especially been over there.
mm. Yeah, I mean, I was being completely selfish to have you both back. His words, your imagery, that could be, just something for you guys to think about,
Sure.
because there's always like, it's interesting because always, words, whenever I look at people's portfolios or websites or all these different things, I always say, if you had some context
Yeah,
to those images, it would just embellish everything, the words
absolutely.
and to really get a texture for it.
right. And I'm better at pictures than words, obviously. So
The old
when
story.
he writes, it's, it hits me in a way where like my photos just don't, you
Right.
know,
Yeah. It's
and it adds like this greater, like you said, context to what I'm feeling.
right. Yeah. No, that makes all the sense in the world. So how long are you going to be in Syracuse now? And then, when to go back?
So I am currently finishing my degree, my undergrad, so I'll be done in the next 2-ish years with
Okay.
that, and then my master's after that.
Okay.
And
So,
so I'm not sure when I'll be able to go back. It might be sooner, it might be later, but I want to go back in the right way, and I want to go back in a way that's safe and secure as well. And there
and you
are
have a,
also, I mean, there's also a lot of important stories back at home that I could tell too. When, there's a lot of Ukrainian journalists and photographers who are, they know the language, they know the area, they know, they have their bearing about the entire war, just not this small context of the war. So, working on just becoming a better storyteller at home as well.
right. Yeah, there's always another story to tell, right? What becomes important. It's but it feels like, you're planting all these seeds,
Yes.
right? With other, with Marcel, someone who's great, and the different outlets that can get your work published is, yeah, it's really it's an interesting thing to do it in between your studies,
Right.
right? People do it this way, people do it that way. Having your feet on the ground, that experience is invaluable, and then how that relates to doing your next paper, right? I
Yes.
mean, like you have a whole
Right.
different sense. And can the professors tell the difference for someone who's been there versus someone who's doing it the other way or the more traditional way?
Absolutely, yeah. I definitely have a lot of life experience. Someone who's in the military. I've worked in
Right.
bars. I was a bouncer. Photographer, biker, skateboarder. Like I have this, been to Ukraine, so I have all this life experience that I can contribute to class
Right.
and offer a different perspective of my life. Because I am in class with a bunch of 19-year-olds. So
Right.
it's
I was just going to say, I mean, at some
yeah.
point, you must feel like I could teach this class.
I mean, I've been told by one of my professors at least already that I could
Yeah.
probably be teaching one of the classes. But again, I'm no better than anybody else. So
No, I get it.
the
Yeah.
thing is like I'm happy to sit there and learn. And I'm happy to sit there and discuss because it also sharpens my skill and my wit as well by being able to sit there and discuss these topics. And some of these kids are extremely intelligent and like the way that they ask questions is very it's very unique. And so it's a really nice experience to be able to come back and rather being, having, because I'm on the GI Bill, so, I'm taken care of as well.
All right.
And the thing is, I'm able to, for once in my life, I'm able to sit and think about what I'm doing. I'm able to sit and think about my art. I'm able to sit and think about the context in which different phases of my life I've had. So it's a refreshing experience right now. And I'm hoping that when I go back to Ukraine, when and if I go back to Ukraine, I'll be able to take this moment of my life and be able to devote myself even further to telling better stories when I go there.
So education now is something you could really absorb without the pressures of the money piece, the tuition, all of that, right? That's an interesting thing, for I'm sure for your contemporaries in these classes. I never thought of it that way. you know
Yes,
and here's a guy who's doing this, who's got a little bit of a business sense or a little bit of an economic sense, which I always find when I speak to kids at young men and women at university, they have no sense of the practical side of it,
right,
right? They're figuring their lighting, they've got their vision, all of that. Now how do I make a career out of that? And so,
right.
so you have that piece of it, which like I said, you could really help these kids just with, this is the way I did it, right?
Absolutely. And I mean, it's incredibly nuanced. So what will work for me will
Right.
not work for them. And,
Right.
I think it just takes a little bit of grit and it'll go a long way.
Right. Great. Well, Liam, you're incredibly inspiring, and it's great to really to speak to you in such a way that sort of, gets us out of just the photojournalist piece, the practical piece, the life experience piece. That's really, really important. It's great. It's great to hear that. So, finish us up. Give us, your words of wisdom as we, as we, say, we say goodnight for the evening.
My words of wisdom.
Yeah, think about your buddy here. What
Think
would your
about
buddy
my
say?
buddy here. Sometimes it's not wrong to be a bull in a china shop. You know, if you want it bad enough, you know, have a little grit, it goes a long way. So,
That's perfect. And, you now have a standing offer. We want you to come back whenever you have new work or you do, and it doesn't just have to be on Ukraine. Any
okay.
projects that you're working on, we'd love to hear.
Beautiful. Well, I'm signing a publishing deal today with Fall Line Press, for my work on bikers in America. So I'd love to
Great.
come back and talk to you about that sometime.
Yeah, no, we have to do that, and because we do it with a lot of folks who have books, and help them sell some books. So that would be great. You just let me know when it's coming, and that's
Awesome.
a standing offer. That
Awesome. Thank you, Frank. Thank you so
yeah,
much for this opportunity. And I wish everyone who is in Ukraine and currently photographing, good luck and just be strong and keep making amazing work.